Hello. So today's topic is Animal World, chapter 7 of grade 5. Now first of all, in this chapter I will teach you habitat, what are different types of habitat, what are adaptations, what are the different features and of the animals which help them for so that they can survive in different environment and migration. So first of all, habitat. What is habitat? When we are talking about habitat, it is simply the place where any organism naturally lives and reproduces, that is only known as habitat. Now we have divided habitat into two categories on the basis of where do we find them. First one is terrestrial habitat, habitat which we find on the land, that is known as terrestrial habitat. And second one is aquatic habitat, habitat which we find in the water, that is known as aquatic habitat. Now these are further divided. For example, for terrestrial habitat, forest, desert, polar regions, and for aquatic habitat, freshwater and ocean. Now one by one we'll study about the different features of these habitats. Forest, most of the time these are the type of habitat which is covered with trees, plants. There are different herbs, shrubs which we can find there. The type of animals which we can find there, for example, bat lives in caves, then elephant, giraffe on the grassland, right? And then we have snake, rats. These type of animals we find over there in the desert. Camel also we find in desert. Now forest, they have good vegetation, thick vegetation, and desert, they have very less amount of rainfall. Most of the time they are dry, they get very less amount of rainfall, and most of desert area it is covered with sand. So the type of animals which we can find there in the desert are the one which can survive there even less amount of water also. For example, camel has feature, it has thick eyelids, and then it has hump on its back to store the extra energy. Next one is polar region, Arctic and Antarctica region. Most of the time these are the places which are covered with snow and they are extremely cold. So the type of animals which we can find there in the polar region are the one which can cope up with that extreme cold. For example, penguin, walrus, polar bear, which can survive in that much cold also. Next is freshwater, or your river, lake, pond. These are the sources of fresh water. And ocean, you know, most of Earth we call it blue planet as it is covered with the different oceans. We have 5 different oceans. Now the type of animals we can find there in the freshwater, for example, crane, duck, small fish, frog. And in the ocean, seahorse, we have different fish, for example, starfish, octopus. These all are whale, dolphin. These are the few examples of the animals which we can find in the oceans. Now adaptations. What are adaptations? Adaptations are the special features which help different animals so that they can survive in different environment. We'll study about them one by one. First of all, body covering. Different animals, they have different types of body covering. We will talk about insects. Most of the insects, they have, for example, grasshopper, cockroach, and they have cuticle as their body covering. Then scales. Most of the reptiles, crocodile, then snake, even fish also. Fish is type of aquatic animal. It is not type of reptile, but it also have scale as the body covering. Third one is shell. For example, turtle, tortoise, and snail. They have hard body covering, which acts as a kind of protective layer for them. Wheresoever these animals they feel any danger, they go inside. So shell is their body covering. Next one is most of the birds, they have feather as their body covering. Most of the mammals, they have small hair on their body, so they have hair as their body covering. And most of the animals which we find there in the mountain or in the polar region, for example, sheep, yak, they have fur or wool as their body covering, which help them to keep their body warm. Second is breathing organs. Now, for example, we human beings, we breathe, we have respiration. For respiration, we have lungs, right? In the same way, different organs, everyone all the living beings, they breathe. Now in different animals, these breathing organs are different. Most of the mammals, they have lungs. They breathe with the help of lungs. Insects, grasshopper, cockroach, they breathe with the help of, there are small holes which are present on either side of their body for the exchange of gases. That is known as spiracles. And these spiracles, they form a network-like structure inside. We call it trachea. Next one is gills. Most of the aquatic animals like fish, crab, when they breathe with the help of gills, they have for breathing, they have gills as the breathing organ. You know, chemical formula of the water is H2O. So oxygen, it is already present in the water. The oxygen which is dissolved in water, this oxygen is absorbed by the gills. First of all, water will enter through the mouth into the fish, and then gills, they will absorb the oxygen which is present in the water, and extra water, after that water is expelled out of the body through gills. So in this way, fish, they breathe. And you know, amphibians are the animals which can survive both in land also and in water also. So frog is a type of amphibian. Frog, when frog is in water, then it breathes with the help of its moist skin. But when frog is on land, then it breathes with the help of lungs. Even earthworm also, it also uses this. But earthworm is not type of amphibian. Next is feeding habits or feeding organs. Now when we are talking about the feeding habits, means how do different animals they feed, how do they eat. First of all, on the basis of the feeding habits, we have different categories. Most of the animals which eat only plants, we call them herbivores. They have front sharp teeth to take the bite and to backbone or flat teeth to chew the food. Second, carnivores. For example, tiger. The animals which eat the flesh of other animals, we call them carnivores. They have sharp pointed teeth to tear the flesh of other animals. Omnivores are the animals which can eat both. They can eat plants also, and they eat flesh of other animals also. They also have with sharp teeth for this function. Next one is proboscis. Proboscis is in the insect. For example, in the butterfly, in the front of the mouth of butterfly, there is tube-like structure through the help of which butterfly, it sucks the nectar of the flower. So that tube-like structure with the help of which it sucks the nectar of the flower, that is only known as proboscis. Rodents are the animals, for example, rabbits, which grow the food. So for this function, they have very sharp teeth. Next is movement. Now in different animals, they have different movement organs which help them so that they can move from one place to another. Let's talk about first of all the mammals. Most of the mammals, lion, tiger, elephant, all of these, they move from one place to other place with the help of their legs, with the help of their strong limbs. Insects, for example, grasshopper, cockroach, mosquitoes, flies, most of the animals, they have 3 pair of legs and 2 pair of wings for their movement. If you are using word pair, in one pair we are counting 2. So it means insects, they have 6 legs and 4 wings. Fish, they have fins for their movement. That's why they can easily move in the water. Next one is scales. Most of the reptiles, especially the snake, it always move in zigzag manner, right? It doesn't have legs. So snake move with the help of its body covering. It move with the help of its scale and its backbone, strong and flexible backbone. When frog is in water, we have other animals also. For example, cranes, duck. They move in the water with the help of their webbed feet. Penguins, they have flippers modified. Their limbs are only modified into the flippers for the movement. Birds, they have wings so that they can fly. Next one is migration. What is migration? Migration is simply when animals, they move in groups from one place to another only for a short period of time till it can be either in the search of food, shelter, or to get the proper condition, the favorable condition for reproduction or for their survival. That is only known as migration. So you can say the mass movement of animals from one place to another in search of food, shelter, for favorable conditions, that is known as migration. Every year different animals they move from one place to another when they cannot adjust themselves, if there is sudden change in the climate, or if there is any other change that they cannot cope up with those conditions. Then just for short period of time they move to some other place, and after that they again go back to that place. For example, Arctic, for example Siberian crane, it every year it moves from Siberia to India during winters. During winters they cannot adjust themselves in the Siberia, so for short period of time, just for few months, they comes to India, and when after 2-3 months then they again go back. In the same way we have different examples: Arctic tern, locust. Now only few days back, last year only, not few days back, locust kind of insect, they always harm the crops, they came to India, right? And after this we have European eel. So we have different examples of the animals. Monarch butterfly, every year they migrate from one place to another, and are for just for temporary time. Okay, this was all about this chapter.